Distinguished participants, last year, the Republic of Korea declared its commitment to the achievement of carbon neutrality by 2050. Under this vision, the Korean government actively supports the activities of the Getting to Zero Coalition. Going forward, we will fulfill the responsibilities bestowed upon us to achieve decarbonization in maritime transport and establish a green maritime supply chain. First, as a short-term plan, Korea will expand the share of vessels fueled by low-carbon energy, such as LNG, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from ships. The mid to long-term plans include research and development of zero-carbon technologies aimed at the full commercialization of ships running on hydrogen or ammonia. To this end, the Korean government established a clear legal framework in January 2020, making it mandatory for the central and the local governments as well as public agencies to build all government-owned ships to be eco-friendly. And in December 2020, the government established the first phase national plan to present a detailed roadmap for the development and the promotion of a wider use of green ships. Second, Korea will build a port infrastructure to promote and sustain hydrogen-based economy. Ports are the optimal site for generating hydrogen fuel from renewable maritime energy and enable to provide best access and storage of hydrogen as a hub for trade and distribution. Before the end of this year, the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries will establish plans to foster Korean ports to be the hub of a global hydrogen energy transport network. The Korean government will work to renovate port facilities with the aim of annual supply of more than 3 megatons of hydrogen by 2040, which is tantamount to 60% of Korea's total annual hydrogen consumption. On the last front, Korea will work in earnest to enhance coastal and ocean carbon sinks. Coastal wetlands and halophyte plant communities are globally recognized nature-based carbon sinks, along with forests and grasslands. The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries will continue to expand the scope of coastal wetlands restoration and create marine forests of over 54,000 hectares. Korea will enhance blue carbon sequestration to absorb more than 1 megaton of greenhouse gases by 2050 and work even more closely with the international community to expand the coverage of blue carbon.
Collaborative actions are key to making sure no country is left behind when it comes to shipping decarbonized future. The support of our donors is critical. We have several ongoing partnership initiatives with key stakeholders, including, among others, UN partner agencies, the World Bank, European Union, Norway, Germany, Singapore, and the Republic of Korea.
In terms of reducing greenhouse gas emission from shipping, we have made some strategy to reduce carbon intensity of the fleet of at least 40% by doing midterm measures in 2023 to 2030 and reach target 50% reduction of total greenhouse gas emission in 2050.
shipping's decarbonization is possible, but it will require urgent and sustained action, as well as public-private collaboration. Let us seize the opportunities of shipping's fifth energy revolution together to encourage the transition to a zero-emission industry, while at the same time creating new green growth opportunities and improving livelihoods and human well-being around the world.
The shipping industry should invest in building infrastructures to supply zero-emission fuels. Moreover, the shipbuilding industry should continue to develop technologies such as digitalization and eco-friendly fuel systems for ships. Together, each sector can contribute to the collective goal of carbon neutrality.
Can be produced. HMM has a goal to meet the 2050 target. Therefore, it has a goal for each fleet. As for our roadmap, HMM has achieved its 2020 target of bringing down CO2 emissions by 40% compared to the 2008 level, and has developed implemented concrete plans to cut GHG emissions by 50% by 2030 and reach carbon neutrality by 2050. This target demonstrates its commitment and accountability to tackle its carbon footprint in line with the 2050 carbon neutrality target of the government of Korea.
In January this year, we developed a VLCC design with a solid oxide fuel cell and received approval from a class. If I may talk more about the fuel cell, currently there is a capacity restriction and there is also price issue. We think that by 2030, for small vessels or mid-sized vessels, megawatt level fuel cells and batteries propelled hybrid system can be available. So for VLCC fuel cell system, in other words, would take more time for development.
I think it is not too much to emphasize that those action plans and goals mentioned earlier can only be achieved through international cooperation.
The landmark report, Breaking the Plastic Wave, published by Systemic and Pew Charitable Trusts in 2019, calculates that plastic flows into the ocean will triple by 2040 under business as usual scenarios, but that immediate action could stem this tide by more than 80%.
Dear friends, the United Nations Environment Assembly has highlighted that there are key gaps in international plastic governance. These shortcomings necessitate a global response that extends beyond waste management to address the entire life cycle of plastic pollution. Therefore, a key priority for my government is to strengthen global governance by deciding upon a global agreement which addresses this urgent challenge.
Now, the two participants are signing on the MOU. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as of that, we officially launched East Asia's Initiative on Clean Oceans. Congratulations.
As we move forward, Korea will hold hands even more tightly with the member states of PAMC, P4G, as well as the P4G partnership, to tackle the problem of marine plastic pollution head-on. I sincerely hope that the East Asian Sea Initiative on Clean Oceans lays a firm foundation on which the civil societies can be strongly empowered and capacity can be built for the management of marine debris in the East Asian region.
So over the years, PEMC country and non-country partners have been working to develop and implement policies and programs to reduce marine pollution and manage solid waste as part of our programs in the shared regional strategy. PEMC Resource Facility assists countries in implementing solutions that contribute to circular economy and embody humanitarian, socioeconomic, and environmental objectives and targets adopted in national laws and policies, as well as international instruments such as UN SDG 14.1, the ASEAN Declaration on Marine Litter, and even the Paris Agreement and Aichi biodiversity targets, to name a few.
And ladies and gentlemen, what comes next is the little performance to congratulate the launch of East Asian Sea Initiative on Clean Oceans.
Creating and fostering international partnerships to address marine debris is essential as we work together to effectively resolve the issue. The United States federal agencies are looking for new ways of engaging other governments to address marine debris. For example, our government passed legislation in 2018 that directs our U.S. trade representatives to include the topic of addressing solid waste pollution to the marine environment in any new trade agreement signed by the United States. Clearly, here at NOAA and throughout the U.S. government, we believe that international cooperation and partnerships are key to solving this issue.
ASEAN worked closely with the World Bank in developing the ASEAN Regional Action Plan for combating marine debris. 14 actions are prioritized in Regional Action Plan, which are directed toward harmonizing policy and regulation on plastic across the country, building capacity to reduce its pollutant collectively at the regional level, and will contribute toward global marine biodiversity and water quality.
Now, the point that I want to leave everyone with here is not having a global agreement is not an excuse for inaction, right? We need action with or without a global agreement because what we are doing now is simply not acceptable. So regardless of whatever instrument we agree on, we have to have some global measures that are based on science, that connect with regional and national and local action, as well as global actions that have already been agreed.
The focus of our approach has really been on legislation and an action plan which is developed in a strategic way with industry. It's important to have industry involved in a circular economy approach and providing them with incentives, with policy frameworks. We do have a goal of zero plastic waste by 2030.
Global environmental issue. So although various studies has been attempted for last decade, the overall scientific information is still very limited. We also needed the knowledge of environmental fate of microplastic and nanoplastics, including fragmentation mechanism and the fragmentation rate and quantity, source, input pathway, transportation, bioaccumulation, traffic transportation, and so on, for their proper management.
The marine plastic waste must be addressed from the perspective of a whole life cycle, from production to disposal. Of course, disposal must be minimized down to zero waste by changing the current largely linear plastic value chain to real circular value chain and economy. Finally, the microplastics shifted a paradigm of plastic pollution. So it can cause adverse effects on human health as well as the marine ecosystem, and would be a irreversible problem. Thus, the precautionary approach is highly required to reduce plastic pollution and to upgrade the scientific knowledge for future generation.